Hello and welcome back to Ryan's Family Amusement here in Millis, Massachusetts, Route 109. We've got a singles match here, ACSTA. Chris Parkinson coming off a big 157 at the Pro Series, at the Friday Night Pro League last night against Dan Gauthier, who wants to apologize for being ill the last time he appeared on our network. Anyway, gentlemen, shake hands, start your engines. We're going to see Dan bowling first on lane 21, and we have Dan Castle with the play-by-play.
Thank you, Bob. And we're about to start off on lane 21, and we're also going to be using 22 here at Ryan's Family Amusements in Millis, Massachusetts. Dan Gauthier, the visiting bowler, they need to hit the red button to start this. And false start. Scoring system wasn't quite ready. I'm glad you could hear me on that one. All right, now we're ready to start, and Dan Gauthier, our visiting bowler, is ready to throw the first ball. And starts out with a nice head pin hit that results in a strike. Woo-hoo-hoo. What a way to start. So, can't do any better than that. Let's see if we can keep it going. Coming into box 2, the format today, 5 boxes at a time. The visiting bowler first, then the home bowler. Gauthier, box 2. He's off on a 6-pin, just takes out 2. So he's got a big cluster to shoot at. Wants a big fill, doesn't want to leave a 2 fill up there. So hoping he can get on a head pin this next box. Next ball. And over on the 2-pin, 6 in the fill. So 16 to start, and an open box in the second. Dan will be bowling 5 boxes, as I mentioned, and Chris Parkinson will come up for his first half on lane 21. Then they'll switch lanes and do the same thing on lane 22. 8 box for Dan Gauthier for 24 after 2. And we'll do this for 5 games. The winner of each game is awarded 2 points toward their standings. And the winner of total is awarded 4. So a possible 14 points. Gauthier's in the right-hand pocket, the 1-3 pocket. Takes out 6 and leaves the 2, 5, 7, 10. Some wood back there that may make that makeable. He's got to be between the 2 and the 5, I think. But there could be other ways. He takes it to the outside of the 2 and takes out everything but the 10. That was a great bid. He'll be open in box 3. As you can see from the opening, Gauthier averages about 118 so far this year. There's a 10 box for a 34. And I'll open those back up again. I had them opened up a little bit ago. Now they're closed. Gauthier coming into box 4. Throwing about 28 miles an hour at the pins. And he's in the pocket nicely that time. And 8 drop, but the 5 and the 8 stay up. Some wood over there that doesn't look to me like it's covering the 5 pin, so I imagine he's going to want to go for the pins, but maybe he can make the wood go. And just to the left, so open box in the 4th. Looking for a 10 on just the 5 pin standing, that's it. And nice and clean pickup for a 10 box, 44 after 4. 4 pins over par. Pulling up the standings briefly here. Gauthier in the left pocket, and there's another strike. So bookend strikes for Dan Gauthier. Not a bad way to start. 54 and a 2-ball fill remaining. Now we get to see Chris Parkinson. Chris Parkinson, who has a 123 average, 122.98 so far this year, with a win-loss record in points of 52 and 60. So he's under 50-50. He tries to open up and match a strike. Almost does it. 8 pins left. He's got 2 pieces of wood. Right there, I don't know if that's going to be helpful, but Chris throws a strong ball. That last one was at 31 miles an hour. He gets it, no problem. Spare in the first for Chris Parkinson, matching the mark that Dan Gauther put up in the first. So anything over 6, and he's ahead in completed boxes. First ball in the fill, box 2 for Chris Parkinson. And he's off to the right on the 3-pin, just takes out 4. So 14 in the first box. He's got a big cluster down there. Goes wide and somehow catches the back pin enough to pick up a few more, but there's the 1, 2, and 4 left. And a 9 box for 23 after 2, 1-pin game. And that only gave him 8. So check the scoring there, guys. Bob gave him a 9. Parkinson on the head pin, solid. A 4-pin split. That's a 2, 4, 6, and 10. Wood over on the left. Nice try on that, but a little full on the head on that object pin, so only 1 goes out. Now he's got the 4, 6, 10. Wood over there, I think, is going to prevent him from considering the left side, but he just goes for the 2, which I think is a smart move. He almost picks up the other one. 9 box for Chris, 32 after 3. He's only down 2 pins in completed boxes. Box 4. Again, a solid pocket hit. And he's got the back row minus the 10 pin. So there's 7, 8, 9. And it'd be interesting to see how he plays this wood. I don't know if it's going to help or not. Goes for the front wood.
Oh!
Almost gets that. Beautiful attempt. The pin I was worried about was the one that caused him grief, and that was the 9 pin. So it stands alone, looking for a 10 box. And without a problem, the 9 goes down. So 10 in the 4th box for Parkinson, 42 after 4. But now he's up against Gauthier's strike in the 5th. Solid hit and a matching strike. So both bowlers marked in the 1st and the 5th. We have a tight first game going here. Dan Gauther, 54 plus a 2-ball fill. Chris Parkinson, 52 plus a 2-ball fill. And now we switch over to lane 22. And Dan Gauther's coming up to start box 6 of game 1. And he's on a fill. Put a strike up in the 5th, as I mentioned. So first ball, he's a little wide on the 3-pin. Gets a break. It's going to be 8. 8 to start. The Millis 8, we call this. You go off onto the 3-6 area or the 2-4 area and end up with an 8. So he looks like he's got the 2 and the 4 left. And just picks up the back pin. So 9 in the fill. He closes his half with 63. But an open box in the 6. And there it goes, 73 after 6 for Gauthier. So Dan, so far this year, Dan Gauthier, also nicknamed Shoe, has an average of 118.76 for the ACST so far. He's in 4th in his division, as is Chris. 16 bowlers in each conference, 4 divisions of 4. And he so far has a win-loss record. I had it here right in front of me a second ago. Oh, there it is. 62 points in a win, 92 in the loss. And is that going to go? There you go. There's a spare for Dan Gauthier. Little delay in the action on one of the pins, but it finally gave up the ghost and went down. So 83 in a ball after 7 for Dan Gauther. In the pocket.
Wow.
And that is a, can't see around him, and
That's
that's a
his
strike.
third Danny.
Third strike for Dan Gauther in the first string. 93 after 7. 103 plus a 2-ball fill in the 8th. Great start. And just 3 on his first ball. He's got that double row, 4 horsemen right, plus another row of 3 behind it. And he's coming in on the head pin. Ends up with a 6 fill for the strike, so 109 after 8. Looking at the 3, 6, 9, 10, try to clean that up. And he does. Nice 10 box. 119 after 9 for Dan Gauther. Tenth box of the first game. Gauthier trying to get to 130s, which will require another mark, and he hit the head pin nicely. But he's left with a 4-7-10 split, and some wood that's going to be a challenge, I think. Probably going to go to the 2. He does. Gets it. Beautifully done.
How about that?
That was awesome. Spare in the 10th for Gauthier. 129 plus a ball.
Up the nose.
Well, punches out a spread eagle.
How about a 2 spare, 3 strike, 133.
133 game for Gauthier. He throws down the gauntlet in the match early.
All right, Parkinson working on his strike.
Parkinson's at 52 plus a 2-ball fill, as Bob says. He's on a strike, looking to close out this first half. Parkinson on the head pin.
Oh,
and how about a double? He says you throw a 133. Well, watch this. Hold my beer. So now he's at 62 plus another ball in the first half. Looking to try to get a triple here. And he's on the head pin again, solid, a little bit full, just 6 in that. So he closes his half, once I see it up there, with a 68. And he's got another ball in the second strike. The 3-1 split. Picks up 2 more, so 8 in that fill. And he's at 86 after 6. That puts him up over Gauthier. But Gauthier, he's up against a bare strike. And that's a 9 box. So after 7, let me get straight here. He's at 95. Gauthier's at 93 after 7. And then put up a strike 6.
Wow.
This is a tight one here, but he's going to need a mark.
Another good A match.
And nice head pin hit. He's left with every lady's best friend, the diamond. And in this case, it's made up of the 3, 5, 6, 9.
A couple imperfections in there that would.
Yeah. Carrying on the analogy, Bob notes some inclusions in the diamond. And it didn't go. He went to the left, so he's got an open box in the 8th, which will put him behind Gauthier. And there's a 10 box for 105 after 8. Dan Gauthier was at 109 after 8. With a 10 box and a 14 box to follow.
Right, only a 4 fill, so really get there with 1 mark and a good fill.
Coming into box 9, Chris Parkinson. Solid hit. Everything but the 7 pin. Big splash. Really needs a spare. And I couldn't see whether that was good or not.
His heart, yeah, it was good.
All right.
It grazed it on the way by.
Yeah, I didn't hear a smack as the pin went by,
It was a
as it went
click.
by. But Chris was standing in front of my view of it, so I wasn't 100%
His heart,
certain.
I could
But
hear
that's
his heart.
the
It was
spare he
racing.
needs for 115 plus a ball at 9. It's a big ball here for this first game.
Okay.
How about a strike on spare?
Wow.
And that's given him the first string.
Each bowler with 3 strikes. Big difference there, the double strike from Parkinson.
Oh, Parkinson's won the first game at 135, but he's not done yet. He's got 2 balls to fill that strike with. First ball in the fill. Why not another one?
Oh, my gosh.
2 doubles for Parkinson in this game. That puts him at 145, and still another ball to go. Any of us that have bowled against Chris have had this done to us at some point or another, and it's painful. Going for the triple. Everything but the 610, so he finishes with a 153, a 20-pin victory over Gauthier's 133.
Wow.
So Dan
2
throws
double
a very
strikes.
respectable 133 game and ends up with a 20-pin loss. Not much you can do about that.
4 strikes and 2 spares.
So the first 2 points in this match are awarded to Chris Parkinson. Well done. And now Dan Gauther is going to start game 2 in lane 21. And first ball is in the right-hand pocket, a little light. Takes out 5, he's left with a left-hand half. That's the 2, 4, 5, 7, 8 pins are left standing. On his object, but light, and doesn't carry the 7 pin. So open in the first for Gauthier. And a nice 10 bucks. That's the way you do that. And I'm looking for our live stream on Facebook, Bob.
Uh-oh. Says we're on there. On Atlantic. We should be on the Atlantic.
Okay. Nope, I'm not seeing it right now, so hopefully you guys are seeing it somewhere. Gauthier, box 2, game 2. Nice headpin hit and leave 7. He's got a triangle on the left side. It's a 2, 4, 5. And no doubt about that, with a spare in the second for Dan Gauthier. So 20 and a ball after 2 for Dan Gauthier. 6 in the fill. 4 horsemen right to 1, 3, 6, 10. A little full on the head pin, so just the head pin goes, and the 3, 6, 10 are left. Open box in the third for Gauthier. We're on game 2 of this match. First game was won by Chris Parkinson, 153 to 133. And a 9 box for Dan Gauthier for 35 after 3. Still staying right around 27 miles an hour on his ball. A lot of accuracy. All right, Dan's coming up for box 4. That time he's on the 2 pin.
Well, Dan, my machine says we're we're live, but I just started recording in the second. So if you could recap what happened in the first, the 153, 133.
I'm not seeing the live stream on Facebook, so I apologize if it's up, and I am not seeing your comments. But
Wow.
Bob's putting up a recording. Regardless, this is spare in the fourth for Gauthier. And to recap the first, if you're watching the recording, Chris Parkinson came back to take out Dan Gauthier, 153 to 133 in that first game.
2 double strikes in the back.
4 strikes total for him. 2 doubles. Double in the 10th. And Gauthier had 3 strikes, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
So both bowlers put up a good show there. But it's a 20-pin lead right now in total for Chris Parkinson after the first game. And he, of course, won the first 2 points. Gauthier put 5 on that field for 50 after 4. Made a great effort on that cluster in the middle. And 2 pins stayed up, so he's open in the 5th this time. Both bowlers in the last game put up a mark in the 1st and a mark in the 5th. They bookended. Nice out by Gauthier for a 10-box 60 at the half. Now starting game 2 is our home bowler, Chris Parkinson. That 10 pin's thinking about falling early, but staying up. Chris is going forward. And now it's down officially. And he's on the 6th pin and ends up with a 3 drop. And the double row again. This is to the right. 4 horsemen are left, so both bowlers were open in the first. Looking to close out with a 10. And a 6 box for Parkinson. So he's down early in this one. At least for the first box. 10 to 6. But that's only the first box. A lot can happen in a 10 box game. So he's up against a spare now. Gauthier had a spare in a second. Parkinson puts up a strike against that spare. Looked like it might be a split for a second. But they all fell down, so that puts him at 16 plus 2 to fill.
Okay. Yeah, so we're recording, Dan.
Yeah, okay, so
we're not recording.
Apparently
so.
we're not on the live stream on Facebook right now, but this is being recorded, so you'll get to see it on Facebook when you see it. So you're watching a recording right now if you're watching this game. Parkinson trying to put up another double, and he just might get it. Oh, that 10 pin does not go, so he misses his 3rd double. But 9 in the first ball in a spare, in a strike. And there it is, a spare on strike. So he tied it up in his second box, 26 to 26, and he has a mark to fill here. So he's at 36 plus a ball. Chris is bowling very well right now, giving Dan a real tough challenge. So first ball is a fill ball. And I thought that might be a strike. It looked pretty good. But 5 in that fill, so 41 after 3. He's up 6 pins in completed boxes. And why not another spares? Messenger came over and tapped this 10 pin. 10 pin was thinking about falling, but they got the word that it's time to lie down, buddy. So 51 and a ball after 4 for Parkinson. 3 marks in a row. As you'll recall, Gauthier put up a spare in the 4th. And 6 in the fill. 57 after 4 for Parkinson. 4 horsemen are left. The 1, 2, 4, 7 wood behind. Doesn't matter. Everything but the head pin. So open box in the 5th. But Parkinson has the lead right now. And there's a 10. 67.5. Dan Gauther coming up with the 60 half, moving to lane 22 to start the second half of game 2. So Gauthier's coming from a 7-pin hole in this string and a 20-pin deficit in the total after the first game, not counting these 7 pins. Gauthier first ball, box 6.
Oh, here we are.
All right, we got a live stream.
We're on Candlepin Bowling Network.
We're on Candlepin Bowling Network, not on Facebook. Okay. The Facebook stream will be a recording. Gauthier starts out with an 8-pin drop, and it looks like a 3-4 split. Nice bid. But open into 6th. $10, 70 after 6 for Gauthier. 10 pins over par. All right, that one went wide. He went to the 6-pin, and it looks like it just the 6 and 9 went. Usually the 10 will go out when you hit over there. So a bunch to shoot at here. And again, wide of the head pin, a little closer that time on the 3, and took out everything but the 4 horsemen left and the 10 pin. Looking to clean this mess up. And not a bad outcome of that. A 9-box, 79 after 7. Dan needs to get some marks going here. Box 8, Dan Gauthier on lane 22. 7 fell, 1, 3, 6 left. 4 horsemen -1, so 3 ponies in a row. It's a 79 after 7. Really wants to get some marks in here. And I don't know how that worked to get the 1 pin and a 6 pin and leave the 3, but that's this game. You get some weird stuff sometimes, and that was pretty weird. So in the open box in the 8, looking to pick up the single pin for a 10, and he gets it, no problem at all. 89 after 8. So Dan Gauthier's coming into box 9 of game 2, looking for a mark. He's got 2 in the first half. Drops 7. This is a spare opportunity. Looking for the 1, 2, 4 to go, and just the 2, 4 go.
Third ball in the 9th.
Looking for the third ball here to pick up a 10, and he's in the face of that head pin. 99 after 9. And he's looking to close out this string with a big finish. Because we know Chris has been hot the first 3 halves we've had here. Gauthier on the 3-pin. Get some late action.
That's that Millis 8 again.
That's that Millis 8. 1, 2. Come in on a 3-pin. And they slowly fall around it, giving you a nice spare opportunity if you get the 2 together, which sometimes is hard. Dan's all over it. Spare in the 10th. Puts him at 109 plus a ball. Behind the pace of his prior string where he had a 133. But wants a big fill here to make Chris work. And that is a 6 fill for a 115 string.
All right. Chris just needs a 48 half to tie.
Well, Chris just about did that in 2 boxes in the last game. Let's see how he does this time. So it's 115. As Bob said, Chris needs to pick up 48 to tie, 49 to win. So can pin out, but has to have all 9s and 10s. And he starts with a head pin hit. It takes out 6. He's left with a 2, 4, 7, and the 6 pin. So he's got a split to contend with, which happens a lot of times when you hit the head pin. He's giving it a run, and he picks it up. He made that look easy. That's a tough spare to make. No problem for Parkinson. So spare in the 6th. He's at 77 in a ball. That is Chris's 4th mark out of 6 boxes. He's got a strike, spare, spare in the 1st, and now a spare in the 6th. All right, a little light on that one. You could see it as it came out of his hand that he was going to the left, and that just took out 4. Came in on the 2 pin. So 81 after 6. Right on the object that time, and slid a pin over to the left, but it didn't touch the 4-7, so open in the 7th. And there you go for a 10 box, 91 after 7 for Parkinson. And right now he needs just 24 pins to tie, 25 to win, and 3 boxes to do it. And the 2 pin decides it doesn't want to play with Chris right now, so he needs a reset, re-rack, whatever you want to call it. So, Bob, you're not keeping track of head pins on this match, so.
No, I didn't have time to set it up.
Yeah, that's okay. Bob went from one match to the other, whereas I came in fresh. So, a lot of reset and moving equipment and everything need to be done in between. And Parkinson in the first ball of box 8, and a solid hit. But somehow the 2-4 stayed up. And I think we got a spare here, and he sure does. See that going down, so 101 in a ball. He's looking to win this string too. Waiting on a reset. Sometimes it's slow and you gotta be patient. There it goes. But they keep things up very, very well here in Millis. This is a well-run house.
Wow.
Solid head pin hit, and there's a strike on spare for Parkinson.
Wow.
He has won this string. He's at 111 after 8.
Phenomenal match.
And 121 after 9, but still 2 balls left to fill this one. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spares or strikes.
He's got 6 spares and 6 strikes in the match.
He's unbelievable. He's a machine today.
It's taking time. So it's got to make sure all the cones are full.
All right, Phil on that strike. It's 34-mile-an-hour ball. Drops 6. He's off to the right. To make a spare, he's got to pick up the 1, 4, 7, 9. Well, everything but the 7, so 9 in the fill. 130 at 9. And this, if he picks up this pin, he'll be at 140. And he will not, so a 139 string. After a 153, and he just picked up another 2 points and 24 more pins on Gauthier, so he's up 44 in total. I'm doing that off the top of my head, Bob. Am I right?
Well, let's see.
So 139 to 115 victory for Parkinson. He's got 4 points. to Dan Gauthier 0. We're coming into game 3 now. So we're short a ball in the lane here, so Gauthier would like to see all 4 balls in the rack. Dan Finn, the commissioner, going down to take care of him. And we verify the 44-pin match lead for Chris Parkinson. Gauthier looking to pick up some points here. He's got to throw some big games because Parkinson is all over it. Here comes his ball in blue and yellow, Boy Scout colors. All right, Gauthier starting game 3 on lane 21. His first ball in box 1. Off on the 2-pin. 3 to start, a little bit better than a punch out. The 5-pin went 2. And this time he's on the other side of the head pin, but gets some good action there, and we're going to take out everything but the head pin and the 7. And just a 7-pin, he went by the head pin and caught a piece of wood, so a 9-box to start for Gauthier. Still consistently right around 27 miles an hour in his ball. That time on the 6-pin. It's a makeable spare. You can put that in the 1-2 pocket. There's a good chance this could go. That's the tricky part about this one. A lot of times you come in on the other side, it does not go. He's on the 1-2 pocket and everything but, I believe that would be the 3-pin.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I think it is. But when you've got 6, 7 pins up there, there's a good chance one won't go. He got them all down by the 3rd ball for a 19 after 2 with that 10 bucks. So only 1 pin left standing this time after 2. It's on the head pin that time. He's got a little mini split here, the 3 and the 10. I think that wood's immaterial. Needs to cut that 3-pin over to the 10 or the ball. Oh, and the wood takes out the 10. But open in the 3rd box for Dan Gauthier. And a 9-box, 28 after 3. So 2 under par right now. Needs to get some marks on the board. Box 4, game 3, coming to his midpoint of this match for Gauthier. And that time he's in the pocket solid, and he gets another split, this time the 5-7. And so this is interesting because the 5-pin has some wood right beside it, and I think if he gets right in between those two, there's a shot he could pick this up. That's where he's going, and he gets it. Boy, did I call that shot. So a spare in the 4th for Gauthier. And that puts him at 38 plus a ball, so anything over 2, and he's back above par. And that's another split with a head pin hit. So 8 in the fill, 46 after 4. But kind of an ugly split here. That's the 4-9, I think. And there's wood there that I think is going to present a blockade. So we'll see how he does this. He's going to the right side, and he taps it off the wall. Beautiful shot by Dan Gauthier.
All right.
That's one for the replay reel.
Wow, dude.
Spare in the 5th. Dan Gauthier, 56 in a ball. That was a shot. All right, so coming up in Box 1 of game 3 now is Chris Parkinson, our home bowler on lane 21. He's been dominating so far. And it starts out with a 7 drop. The 1-2-4 left for his spare. And he picks it up. He misses it to the right and just brushes that wood enough to take out a spare.
Good grin on Chris's face after that one.
Chris knows he got lucky on that one. All right, so in the fill, he's at 10 plus a ball.
That's right. And both bowlers are in the low 300s now. Chris, of course, has 4 boxes to go.
All right, he puts
before the
5 in the fill. It's a late falling 3-pin. This is a bit of a mess. 1, 7, 6, 9, 10. Got to hit the head pin to get anything to happen, and he goes wide to the left, so wants to close out with a decent box. And he plays the safety side, and, well, that head pin got hit a couple of times by a piece of wood coming by, but doesn't go down, so a 7 box for Parkinson, 22 after 2. And Parkinson's calling for a ball retrieval. So he's got 2 in the rack. They're going to throw a ball down 22 to see if something comes back. Actually, 2. See if we can kick it out of lane 22. Get something to come back. Sometimes they get hung up down there. So Parkinson's going to move forward into box 3 of game 3. And he starts out with a solid head pin hit. A little too full, though, leaves him a split, the 2, 4, 7, 10. Wood in between. We know Chris is pretty good at making these shots.
How about it?
Oh, picks up the object pin, but a little light, and leaves a 7-10. So an open box for Parkinson. And how about picking up the 7-10 split?
Easy, easy.
Not too bad. 32 after 3. All right, he's cleaning up the gutter here. And now he's up against 2 marks by Dan Gauthier, both on splits. All right, first ball, box 4. On the head pin. And by some amazing act of physics, did not turn into a strike. But however, it's an 8-10 split. He's got wood all over the place. Well, 2, not really. He's got 2 pieces there. We'll see what he does with them. Going to the right one.
Oh,
he made that look easy. Deflected the wood to the 8 and the ball to the 10, and there's a spare in the 4th, matching Gauthier's spare in the 4th. He's at 42 plus a ball. He puts up some great shots here. That's on the head pin, and no doubt about that one. That's another strike for Chris Parkinson. So he's gone ahead of Gauthier in game 3. At the halfway point of this match, Dan Gauthier's coming up. He's at 56 plus a ball. Chris Parkinson's at 62 plus 2. Gauthier on the fill. And that's a nice 8 fill. And what are we looking at there? The 6-9. Wood over by this, covering the 9, but I don't think it covers the 6. So he's got to hit the 6 clean. And there we go. Spare 3 in a row for Dan Gauthier. He's a 74 plus a ball. He closed his half at 64. Both bowlers now have 3 marks in this game.
By the way, the score at the half, 354 to 312. So Parkinson more than halfway to a 700.
How about a 9 fill in that spare for Dan Gauthier? The 7-pin stayed up. As I recall, the 5-string record here is 736. So keep that number in mind if Parkinson keeps rolling here.
That one could come all the way back if it gives it time.
So Parkinson picking up the wood. And Dan Gauthier looking to pick up the 7-pin for another spare. And just misses. I thought it was on. Open in the 7th. And that time he goes wide to the left, so a 9 box. 92 after 7 for Dan Gauthier. And he couldn't get it with a pin that he threw down there. 92, he's 3 more boxes to go. Parkinson's at 62 and a 2-ball fill after 5. So Gauthier knows he needs to mark here. He's down 44 in the match after 2 strings. Not counting where we stand in this one. So 7 on the first ball. 1, 4, 7. I don't think the wood's going to help him a whole lot. You never know. I might be wrong. He's got to take it off the head pin. And he does.
Oh, nuts.
And somehow the 7 didn't get taken out by that. That was beautifully hit. That's Candlepin. Sometimes you hit your shots and they don't go, and other times you get a little luck. And 9 box. Again, the 7-pin stayed up. 101 after 8 for Gauthier. So Dan's coming into box 9 of game 3. Down a bunch.
That's better.
And nice head pin hit. And again, he's got the 6-9. He made this spare earlier. Different wood setup, but not dissimilar totally. And he got it again. So a spare in the 9th for Gauthier. 111 plus a ball. Looking to close out big. The first string he had a 133, but lost to Parkinson, who put up a 153. Second string, I believe he had a 118, 115. And how about 8 in the fill? So 119 and just the 4-7 left to try to pick up a spare here and get back into the 130s or better. He can't get to 140. He can get to 139 is the best he can do.
No.
But it's a moot point. They'll be open in the 10th. So just didn't.
You only had a half a pin to aim at there.
Yeah, that wood. He was trying to get around that wood. And that's tough to do. So a 10 box. It would have worked, actually, I think. So 129 game for Dan Gauther. He's bowling well. But is it enough to keep Parkinson from picking up another 2 points? So Chris is coming up now. He's a 62, but he has a 2-ball fill on a strike he hung on the 4th. Came in and it looked for a second like he might be looking at yet another double, but wide of the head pin, 6 in the first ball, 1, 2, 4, 10. No wood at all on the deck. All right, so 8 in the fill, open box in a 6. Parkinson closes with a 70 half. But he'll fall behind Gauthier in this game because Dan is at 83. And that's a 9 box. 79 after 6. So he needs 50 pins in 4 boxes to tie, 51 to win. So Parkinson needs at least 1 mark here. Oh boy, we haven't seen that all day. Oh, there it goes. I thought we had a banana split.
Oh no! Oh
my! That's talk about fortunate.
just
went from being a tough split to just being a 10-pin. There's some wood in front of that 10 that may be a problem, but we'll see if he can drive that. I think there's 2 pieces back there. I see the one that's flat to us, but I think there's another one hiding. No problem. Spare in the 7th for Parkinson. 89 in a ball.
Difference between that and the double pinnacle.
Great break for him that time. Now he's looking for a fill. Just off the head pin, 7 in the fill. So he's taken the lead again in this string, 96 to 92, in completed boxes after 7. And he's got a spare leave here, the 1-3-6. And goes just slightly to the right of the head pin, so leaves that open in the 6th, or in the 8th. We're in the 8th now. And a 9 box. So at the 8th box, Parkinson's at 105, Gauthier's at 101. And he's going to need 24 pins to tie in these 2 boxes, 25 to win, so a spare is needed. And that's a punch out. Half Worcester left. Just the 2 and the 7 and the 8 go. The 2 and the 8. Now this is a makeable spare. Come in on the 1-3 or, but this time he goes wide to the right, so he'll be open in box 9. He'll need a spare in the 10th to win this string. We're looking at the 1-7-9 here. He wants to pick up as many of these as he can. All right, so a 9 box, 114. Needs a spare 6 to win.
Yep. Parkinson already at 406.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. He's a 406 so far. On the head pin. All right, this is kind of a tough break for Chris. He buried it there, but he's left with a triangle right plus a 7 pin, so somehow he's got to carry something to the left. He's coming in on the triangle.
He got it. Oh.
And the 7 pin didn't go, so Gauthier will win this string.
Wow.
So it's now a 4-2 match, and Parkinson looking to close out the 10th box. With a 10, he does 129 to 124 in favor of Gauthier. So Dan Gauthier's picked up 5 pins anyway. He's only down 39 now in the total. And Bob, what are our totals right now after 3 strings? 416 to 377. 4 points to 2. Both bowlers putting up a good number of marks. Gauthier with 9 spares and 3 strikes. Parkinson with 8 spares and 7 strikes. Dan Gauthier starting game 4. Nice ball coming in, and he's left with a 7 and the 8. It's a very disappointing leave with a good ball like that. He's got wood to play with. Might work. I don't know. I don't think it's great. We'll see if it goes. If he puts the ball maybe over where the 3 pin is, that's where he's going. And nope, didn't carry the 7. Great effort. That's about as good as you can do with that mess. Just wasn't angled the right way. So now looking for a 10 box, picking up the 7. 7 pin gave him grief in the last game quite a bit. This time he gets it. Took it on the inside as he should to avoid the gutter or the channel. So 10 box to start game 4 for Gauthier. Working from a 39 pin deficit in total. And a nice ball again. This time he's left with a 4-7. He's got a good clean look at that one. Nothing blocking his view for shooting that. And he almost stole it. Carried the 4 pin off that piece of wood, and it stayed vertical all the way and did not tap the 7. So open box in the second with, again, just a 7 pin to look at. And he's getting pretty good at picking that up. So 2 10 boxes in a row give him 20. Two great head pin hits, 2 10 boxes. This time he's off the head pin and punches out. So a half Worcester left. The 2 and the 9 pin, or 2 and the 8 pin. I keep doing that. The 2 and the 8 pin went out. Place is getting busy again, Bob. We had a big wave this morning with the Junior Senior League. Gauther, great bid on taking that into the inside of the hole. And a 5 and the 9 stayed up. Now the open bowling is picking up again. I take that out with the wood. Another 10 box. Sure. Gauthier's all 10 so far, 30 after 3.
Good opportunity in the Yahtzee game, I'm thinking about.
Yeah? Do tell, Bob.
Starting.
We'd like to hear about that.
He's already got his 3 of a kind.
All right, Gauthier that time on the head pin. He's left with a check mark. 3, 5, 6, 10. No wood to play with. He's got a wood over in the left, but I don't think he wants to use it. Just go for the object. Very makeable spare. He's on it. He's got it. Spare in the 4th. 40 plus a ball. The pinning is critical for him. He's doing a great job when he doesn't get the spares, and he's got the mark now. Now he wants a big fill and another, as we always do. All right, 7, 8. Another Millis 8. Came in on the 3 pin, took out everything but the 1, 2. So 8 and a fill, 48 after 4 with just a 2 pin spare leave to shoot for. And, a little light on the head pin. He took it off the wall, but it didn't come back. So an open box in the 5th. Looking to make it all 10s or marks.
Yeah. Take that as a 4 of a kind in Yahtzee. No.
And he has now left 1 pin on the deck in this string. So 57 after 5. And here comes Chris Parkinson.
10 spares on the match for Shu. Go along with 3 strikes. Parkinson,
13 out
of course, at
30
9
boxes,
and 7.
or 40 bucks.
5 boxes
35
in
boxes,
hand.
I'm sorry. All right, Parkinson comes in and misses having a spread, or a half Worcester right. Came in on a 3 pin, but he's left with a 3 and 2. Let me get this straight. 3 and 2 split. 1, 2, 4, 6, 10.
Perfect.
All gone.
Perfect.
He's doing very, very well on these 3 and 1s and 2 and 3s and everything else he's getting. He's getting the splits, but he's picking them up. So spare in the 1st for Parkinson. First ball in the 2nd's a fill. On a fill. Again on a 3 pin. Again a break. And the pins are still going, but I think they're settled down now. 7 in the fill. 17 after 1. 1, 4, 7. Wide to the right. Open box in a 2nd. We'll see if Chris goes for the head pin. He's very confident he does, and he picks up just 2. The 7 pin didn't go. A lot of bowlers on a 3rd ball, if they have a leave like that, will go for the 2 pins, but Chris is pretty confident in his ball. He made a bid for a 10. He's at 26 after 2. First ball in the 3rd. In the pocket, and 9 are down. The 2 pins stayed up somehow. Just 1 pin to shoot at for another mark. He's got 10 spares and 7 strikes so far in this match. And make it 11. Spare in the 3rd for Parkinson.
His 18th mark of the match already.
18 marks so far after not even 4.5 strings. Well, look at that.
Ooh.
Nice head pin hit, and that 4-pin is way off its mark. 7 in the fill, 43,
43,
I'm
yeah.
sorry, after 3. Now he's got the 2, 4.5, and 6 to go, and just the 4-pin left went. So open box in the 4th for Parkinson. And a 9 box, 52. He's got a 4-pin lead in this game. And up against an open box from Gauthier, who closed out his first half at 57. Parkinson in first ball, box 5, and he's on the 2-pin. Only 4 go. And we're looking at the 1, 3, 4, 6, 7, 9. Kind of a mess down there. No wood. Just a head pin. Came in, tried to play on the inside. So hoping to get out of this with at least an 8 box. And it's a 7, so 59 at the half. It's a close one. 59 to 57 at the half. What's that?
2-pin lead in the game.
Yep. 2 pins. All right, Dan Gauther coming up. He's got 1 mark so far. He's in his 6th. He's only left 1 pin on the deck. And that was on the head pin. Correct? No, he missed the head pin. So 5 are down. The 1, 2, 4, 8, and 10 are the remainder. That time he hooked it to the left of the head pin, so open box in the 6. 1, 8, and 10 are still up. Looking for an 8 or 9 out of this. Maybe a 10 if he gets lucky. And it's an 8, so 65 after 6. Okay, 7th box, game 4 for Dan Gauthier. That time he put it in the pocket. And this time we're left with the 2 and the 4. And a nice juicy piece of wood right next to that 2-pin. Red line ought to take it. And he's on the red line, and it takes it as predicted. So a spare and a 7th for Gauthier. 75 and a ball. Trying to pick up a couple more points if he can. On the fill. Gauthier comes in. Head pin hit. 7 in the fill, 82 after 7, and he's left with the 3, 5, 6 triangle. Another opportunity for a spare here. If he can pick up this triangle. Oh, he's on the object, but that 6-pin stuck around. The 3 came off the wall, but it didn't carry to the 6. So an open box in box 8. And there's a 10 box for a 92 after 8. 2 more boxes to go in the 4th string. Really, really wants some marks here because he knows Parkinson's coming on. First ball in the 9th. Again on the head pin. How many to go down? We get 9 are down. 8 are down. I'm sorry. It's hard to see around the bowler sometimes from my position. So he's left with the 3-7 split and some wood over there that may help him. He's going to try to deflect over. Does that 7 go? It does not. That 7-pin's giving him grief for quite a bit today. And there's a 10. He's gotten good at picking it up. So a 102 after 9. Needs a big mark to get to 120. First ball. Again on the head pin, and there's a strike. That's the beginning of a big mark. Nice strike by Gauther. 112 and 2 balls to go. All right, waiting for the re-rack here. All right, Gauthier almost a double. 8 are down, puts him at 120. And he's got a great opportunity to pick up a 10 fill here with the 2 and the 5 and wood in front of him. All gone. So Dan Gauther closes with a 122. He's putting up a pretty good set today. 133, 115, 129, and 122. Parkinson now needs at least a mark, I think. Maybe more. I'll add it up in a second. He's got a wiggly 7-pin on that. He's a 59 at the half, so 9 go. He's left with a 10-pin. So Parkinson needs 67 pins to tie. No, it doesn't. It needs 63 pins to tie. There's a spare. And 64 to win. So he needs at least a mark and a big fill, or probably 2 marks. There's 1. 69 in a ball after 6. And the fill, that, well, as Gauthier said, that looked better than that. 5 in the fill. That ball was in the pocket. A little bit of a mess down there. Looks like the 2, 4, 5, 8, 9. And he picks up the front couple. So open box in the 7th. Close the 6th box at 74. And an 8 box for an 82. And these guys are knotted up here in the 7th. So he still needs to pick up 40 pins to tie, 41 to win in 3 boxes. So I think we need 2 marks here to be sure of it. First ball in the 8th for Chris Parkinson. Off to the left. And took out just 3. 4 horsemen right plus the 5, 7, 9. He comes in, just misses the head pin. So he'll be open in box 8. And at the 1-7. It's the head pin and went the long way, but it didn't take out the 7. It touched it. So he's down a pin in completed boxes, 92 to 91. Parkinson's got 91 after 8. And he's up against a 10 and a 20 box. Oh. All right, that is a great ball. He's left with a 5-10. And that wood is a little short and goes in front of the 5. The way Parkinson throws, I think he's got a good shot at making this. But
that's the
he
play.
Does. I thought he was going to miss that because he was off the object, but it went off the wood. Beautiful spare.
No, that was where it was, Dan.
Yeah, that's where you thought? Yeah, well, it worked, didn't it? I was thinking right between the wood and the 5, and that's where he hit it. But I thought you had to hit the 5. So spare fill, 101 plus this ball. And how about the 5-7 again? Not really what he wants to see. So 8 in that fill puts him at 109. Needs a spare. And he will not get it, so Dan Gauthier will win game 4. And that's a 119 string. So Gauthier wins game 4 by 3 pins. So it's 2-2. Or 4-4, I'm sorry, 2 games each, 4-4 in the points. But in the all-important total, which is worth 4 points itself, Chris Parkinson has a significant lead here. And Bob's going to bring us up to speed on the totals momentarily.
That's it.
There we go. 499 for Gauthier, 535 for Parkinson. So Parkinson has a 36-pin lead on total. And we're starting the last game here, and Gauthier is all over the head pin. Gets a late drop on the 3 and the 5, so only this 10 pin to shoot at. So we were talking earlier about maybe, and there's a spare for Gauthier in the first, maybe a 700 or better for Chris, but he needs a big string to do that right now. Needs a 165 or better. Well within his capabilities, though. Gauthier on the fill, box 2. Just 2. No. Punches out. 12 in the first box. Half Worcester left. Nobody's spared this so far today. Dan comes in. And is it going to go? There it goes. Spare on the half Worcester. Beautifully done. And the last spin to fall was a 7, which has been his nemesis today. But he picks it up. 22 and a ball. So here we go for the fill in box 3 of game 5 for Dan Gauthier. First ball is off to the right on the 3-pin, but 7 goes, so a 17 box gives him 29 after 2. And he's left with a 1-2-10 split. One of those rare times a split doesn't make a red number on the scoreboard. But it's a split, no doubt about that. Okay, misses a head pin, just picks up the 2. And the head pin and the 10 are left. And an 8 box. So Dan Gauthier's a 37 after 3. Needs a lot of marks to make up the ground that he needs on the total.
Well, he's within 1 on the match now.
Yeah, that's true.
Problem is he's bowled 3 more boxes.
Yeah. All right, that's interesting. He hits a head pin and drops 7, and it's the 2, 8, 10 left. That happens. Might go. Come in on a 2-pin just right. You can carry it. He's on it. Oh, what a bid. He carried that piece of wood right over to the 10, but went in front of it. Just didn't catch it. Looked nice, but the 2 and the 8 went. Open box in the 4th. And there's a 10 box for 47 after 4. All right, coming into box 5. Close out the first half of the last game. And that time he came in on a 4-pin, so we got to come up with a name for this, Bob, because we see this kind of leave a lot. The double row 4 horsemen plus the back
Yeah.
3. Whenever you come in on the 4 or the 6, this is what you get. And that time he came in on a 3, went off the head pin.
How about the Pleiades? 7
You,
stars
you and I get that, but I don't know if a lot of people do it unless you're into astronomy or mythology.
Well,
The 7 sisters.
we like the 7 sisters. How about the 7 sisters?
There you go. That's what the Pleiades are if you're not familiar. It's a mythological group, and it's also a star cluster that you can see in the sky if you know where to look. All right, 56.5 for Dan Gauthier after picking up all but one of the 7 sisters.
Chris Parkinson is already at 20 marks. You know you're watching a good match when you see 20 marks.
Absolutely.
And that's only through 4.
Yeah,
4
18
strings.
marks for
Yeah.
Gauthier, 20 marks for Parkinson.
Yep.
And they're tied up in points right now,
Well,
4-4.
35 here.
But Parkinson's got the advantage on total right now.
Danny Finn went back to check on balls, I think.
So we don't know if this is going to be 6-8, 10-4, 12-2, or it can't be 12-2.
Yeah, I saw something coming.
All right, the commissioner taking
All right,
a long stroll back so that he gets lots of airtime here. What a ham. All right, here we go, Parkinson. Chris Parkinson, first ball in box 5 on the 3-pin and takes out 4. 4 horsemen left plus a 5-8.
Wow.
Well, I don't know how that didn't go, but the back 2 stayed up, so he'll be open.
Yeah, the wood tripped up in the gutter. Both pieces were ready to come back, but they hit each other.
That happens. 8 box for Chris Parkinson. Went wide of the 5-8. And this time he's on the 3-pin and takes out a bunch of the middle pins, but the 4 horsemen left and the 6-10. No wood. We see Chris making these kinds of shots, so he's got a shot at it. Wow. Look at that. 7 stayed up, but he took everything else out. And there's a 10, so 18 after 2. Gauthier put up 2 marks in his first 2, as you'll recall, and Chris is down 11 pins in this game so far. 29-18 in completed boxes. Parkinson box 3, game 5. Again on the 3-pin, this time a little bit better result. And is that head pin going to fall? No, I don't think so. So he's left with a 1-2-7. Bunch of wood in there. May work against him. I don't know if it's going to help.
Yeah. He got it. Oh,
Yep.
no, he didn't.
That's what we were afraid of, is something would deflect around the 7. So open in the 3rd for Parkinson. He put it right on the object.
Yeah, it stabbed the wall. Never went back.
The 9 box for Chris, 27. He's down 10 pins. He picked up a pin. And ball's still rolling around the deck down there, and 1 pin in the channel. Saw a little bit of the back and forth like we see in Canada. (37-27) after 3. Parkinson still without a mark in the 5th game. Again on that 3-pin. That's 3 in a row. And we have the Cagliari left. 4 horsemen, 1, 2, 4, 7, and the 9-pin in the back.
Wow.
And they're all gone. Nice spare by Parkinson. Cleaned it up like it was an effortless action. No problem there at all. So 37 in a ball. Gauthier's at 47 after 4. Looking for a big fill in another. You can tighten this right up. On the fill, that's 5 3-pin hits in a row. This one gives him an 8 fill. So he's at 45. He's brought it to within 2 on the game. And he still has a 1-7 split to look at. We'll see. Nothing. I went in the middle, so he'll be open here. And Gauthier will have at least a 1-pin lead in this string. If he gets a 10. And it's a 9, so Dan Gauthier has a 2-pin lead in this string. 56 to 54 at the halfway point. And a match lead for Parkinson now as we're coming into the final 5 boxes. Dan Gauthier needs to overcome a 34-pin deficit in total if he wants to pick up that 4 points for total score. So he needs a lot of marks here, not just winning the string. He's got to win the string by 35 or more to win total, 34 to tie. First ball, he was on the 3-pin. Took out 4. The 1, 4, 7, 9 are left. This could go. He's got to hit the head pin. He's going to be just off the head pin. Unless he steals it here. All right, the head pin stayed up. He needed to touch that. So open box in a 6. And there's a 9 box for Dan Gauthier, 65 after 6. And you really need some marks here to think about total. I think you need some marks here to keep Chris from catching up to him, too, for the string. Another 3-pin hit. These guys are all over the 3-pin right now. But that's a 7 drop. 1, 2, 4. Very makeable spare. Either side of the head pin should take it. And no problem at all. He puts it right in the pocket. And a spare in the 7th for Dan Gauthier. And that puts him at 75 plus the first ball. And that first ball, his fill, is on the head pin that time. And takes out 7, so 82 after 7. And I like this sleeve. Even though it's double wood, he's got the 3, 6, 10. And the wood appears to be favorable. You never know, though. Sometimes it doesn't go. This time it does, no problem. So a spare in the 8. That's his 4th mark in this game. 92 in a ball at the 8th box of Game 5. Needs some big fills here to threaten on total. All right. That's a 3-pin hit, not what he wanted. And that's a 2 fill for 94 after 8 and a half Worcester right.
All right, Gauthier now at 20 marks.
20 marks for the 5 games with 2 more boxes to go. That's 4 per game on average. All right, he went over to the 2-pin, and he's got a mess here. The 1, 4, 6, 7, 10. Now you got to decide. Do you try to make this off the head pin, or you just take one side and hope maybe something carries over to pick up 3 pins?
He has to go for it.
He's got to go for it. He's going for it.
Wow.
And he gets everything but the 7-pin. Nicely done for a 9-box, 103 after 9.
Yeah, he couldn't afford to just take 2 there.
I agree with you. I think he had to do that. It's a risky move because you can come out with nothing. All right, big 10th box for Dan.
Whoa, whoa.
And He's trying to wave that over. He used some telekinesis to make a strike out of that. But he's made this spare several times already. This is the 6. Or no, it's a 3-5. It looks like the 6-9, very similar.
Uh-oh.
And it will not
and
go.
The one that wobbled doesn't go.
So an open box in the 10th. The best he could do is a 113 now. And that's what it is, a 113 string in the 5th for Dan Gauthier. And a respectable total for Dan of 612.
612, yep.
That's not bad at all. Parkinson needs 59 pins to tie this string, 60 to win. And he starts out with an 8 drop, leaving the 610 all by themselves. And there's a spare for Parkinson. He only needs 24 pins in 5 boxes to win total. So it's all but academic at this point, to tell the truth, with 4 more boxes to go and a fill. First ball in the 7th. That was a fill ball, an 8 fill. 72 after 6. Looking at the 310. Doesn't get it.
Right. Parkinson has won the total.
Yep, that's what I was watching. So Parkinson has won total. And will have at least 8 points in this match. That 10 box ties him up with Gauthier, 82 to 82 in the string.
Oh. 82, huh?
Needs a spare. 30 pins will bring him 1 pin short of winning this string. So he's got a mark. But he needs just a spare 1 to win. And all 10s. All right, so he won't have a spare here. Got to put him behind. 1, 6, 10 is left. He's going for all of them and ends up with a 7 box. 89. Gauthier's at 94 after 8.
Right. Does need a mark.
2 10s puts him at 109. He needs a spare in these 2 boxes to win this string. Well, that's a good opportunity here. That headpin hit, dropped 8, and it left him with a 3-6 and some wood there. Little, not perfect, but should help. He's right there, and there's a spare for Chris Parkinson. A good chance that he's going to win this string too. Make it 10 to 4. It's a 99 and a ball. And that's a light fill. Might be enough. That's 4 in the fill. All right. So he needs a 10 box to tie, a spare to win.
He got it!
There's a spare. Wow. That was a tough shot. So he's tied right now. 113 to 113, but the next ball, 1 pin will win the game for Chris Parkinson. So unless he puts it in the gutter, he's got a 10-point to 4-point victory. And he does not put it in the gutter, so that does it. 119 to 113. Parkinson has prevailed in this.
That's a 654.
And he picks up another 6 points for 4 for total, 2 for the string, and wins the match 10 to 4. And in total, 654. Is that up to date? 654 to 612. And Bob, you want to go over the stats here and wrap it up?
Well,
great game.
17 spares and 7 strikes for Parkinson. 24. That's one of the highest we've seen. He was on his way to a 700. He slowed down in the second half.
A little bit.
He was at 360 at the half.
Yeah.
And Dan Gauthier held on, eked it out. It was that wobbling pin. Think about it.
Yep.
The difference between an 8-6 and a 10-4. Great A match. Good follow-up from Chris Parkinson after his big Friday night Pro League sub performance here on these same 2 lanes.
It's great to watch this one.
Network. Yeah.
It's 2 great guys that are good friends, and love working this one with you, Bob.
That's all for us today. We've got big matches tomorrow, though.
We do.
Big 1A and 1B, Josh Daly and Justin Waters. Who is 1A? Anyway, for the Candlepin Bowling Network, I'm Bob Lee with Dan Castle. Bye for now.